Honeybee workers visit plants and trees such as birch, poplar, and balsam to collect the sap. They put it on their back legs in the same spot where pollen goes, and they carry it back to the hive. At the hive, house bees will mix this sap with beeswax, which creates a resin, and we call it propolis. And propolis is well known for being antifungal and antibacterial and great for healing and also for stopping germs from spreading. The bees will coat this propolis on the inside of the hive. If they're inside of a tree, for example, they will coat the inside of the tree. It's not sterilization, but it's creating a clean and healthy environment for the bees in the hive. They also, we call it bee glue. They glue everything down. So every time a beekeeper goes to the bee yard, they have to use the metal hive tool, which is like a paint scraper, and they push it between the two boxes and then crack the boxes open because the propolis, the bees put it all along the edges and glue the boxes down. Not only that, they glue the frames down that are inside the hive. So that's why we again have to use the tool at each end of the frame to pry it up, to free it from the propolis so that we can lift that lift that frame out of the hive. We get a buildup of propolis in a hive throughout the spring season, and the bees will move it around and use it where they need it. Something people have seen in the hive, for instance, if a mouse died in a beehive, it's too heavy for the bees to carry out. So what they will do, because it's a dirty thing, they will coat the entire mouse with propolis to seal it away from the hive. And that's how they would deal with something like that. If it was lighter weight, they would carry it out like garbage and drop it off. Beekeepers and companies make a propolis tincture by putting the propolis in alcohol to get it to liquefy. And this tincture can be used in many ways for health and for healing. Also, some companies will make pills that you could take if you care to as a daily supplement. Propolis is well known as being antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antibacterial, and antifungal. And some research is showing that it may be anti-cancer as well, and also assist with skin aging for the skin. But more research is needed for that. A particular dosage cannot be recommended at this time because research hasn't been done in detail enough to answer that question about how much should I take per day or how much should I use. I accidentally discovered that bees will recycle propolis. And when I had my hive tool, I set it down and it had propolis all over it because I'd been using it to pry up frames and open hives, etc. And then I noticed 2 bees were on my hive tool and they were chewing up that propolis and sticking it to their back legs. So they recycle it. And so whenever I had like a ball of, because I'd collect it and I'd end up with a lump or a hunk of it, I would always leave it in the bee yard. And I had one big ball of it one time that was like 1.5 inches round, and I left it in the bee yard, and it took a while, but the bees took that down to nothing. They were quite avid in the fall recycling that propolis. They really, really, really want it in the fall. And that's because they're winterizing the hive. And that's the other use that they have for propolis. And that is, if you're in a tree and there's a great big hole in the tree and the drafts are coming in for winter or the rainwater, the bees can close that hole down to whatever size they want it to be by filling it in with propolis. So they use it like a caulking for drafts and to stop rain from coming into the hive, which can be very deadly for bees, especially in wintertime. So that's why I always save propolis for them and put it out so that they can recycle it and use it, especially in the fall when they seem to be wanting it the most.